Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and today I'm going to tell you about whether or not you need to do carb refeeds on a ketogenic diet, or even if you should do carb refeeds on a ketogenic diet. So, in order to understand things here, you have to know that there's two states your metabolism could operate under, right? You have two engines, carb engine and fat engine. And fat engine is keto fat adaptation, which takes place after about a month or two of keto dieting, depending on how quick it takes your body. And in the beginning of any keto diet, you're basically going to have a very hard time for the first 3 days. And then from there, it's going to get way easier. And after a couple more weeks, you will feel very smooth and have no problems at all. That's what fat adaptation does. And when you have a carb metabolism, if you're depleting yourself from carbs for too long and going too low carb, you basically may need to refeed your energy source, because your primary energy source is carbs in that context. When you're on fat and you're a fat adapted individual, you don't need to refeed any energy because you have plenty of energy at all times. You're either eating plenty of fat or you have some on your body that you're using for energy. So there's no need to refeed unless you don't allow yourself to get into a keto metabolism in the first place. So if you're somebody who's doing a low calorie macro diet, I've done them in the past too, and they get the job done, but you will feel way better and be less hungry and be able to sleep without being starving every night if you go for the fat metabolism. This is inherently where your body would prefer to be losing fat because it's better at using fat. Go figure. Logically, you would want your body to be in a fat metabolism when you're trying to get rid of fat because it makes it better at metabolizing fat. Now, energy-wise, that's all dependent on how many calories you're taking in with the same diets. And this is why we often see comparisons between carb adapted people at certain calories and matching that with keto people. However, most of the studies are not done in fat adapted individuals. And you can find some of the ones that are on my page. I've talked about them in other videos. But when it comes to if you need to refeed, you don't need to refeed. Okay, you don't need to refeed on a keto metabolism. But you can bounce into a cyclical ketogenic diet or a targeted ketogenic diet. This is the way I like to handle my carbs on a keto diet. So I'm hoping that you're up to speed on this, so I'm just going to maybe gloss over some things you might not know if you're newer. But for those of you who are not, just new to keto this week, hopefully you'll bear with me here. So because you don't need to refeed any energy stores with keto, right? Because you have plenty of the energy your body's running on. You don't need to refeed, but you can start reintroducing carbs because there's a process called metabolic flexibility. You can only achieve metabolic flexibility when you're on a fat metabolism. So what this means is your body is able to use fats and carbs very effectively. If you were to do either diet too long, so a carb diet or a fat diet, for a way long time, years and years and years, your body would gradually lose the ability to start using the opposite fuel source. So that's why it's so hard for most people to do keto, because they've been eating carbs all their life. And for 3 days to get to ketosis is actually pretty remarkable, considering that most of us have been eating carbs for years and years and years. And then from there, your body's going to get better at using fats and ketones. When you're on a fat adapted diet for years, over time, you're not going to completely lose the ability to metabolize carbs, but at first it's going to shock your system, right? Kind of like the inverse of quitting carbs, right? It's like the inverse of quitting carbs and going into ketosis is that if you did keto for 3 years and then had a huge Christmas dinner binge of ice cream and all that shit, right? You are going to feel like shit, and people have even experienced this because our bodies can actually adapt very quickly. However, you won't lose the ability to use carbs. Just if you overdid it, you might shock yourself, right? So if you start off with the pasta, the pizza, ice cream, dessert, 4 rounds of dessert, sushi dinner, all that in a day, you'll feel terrible. And I've done it in the past too, a lot of people have. But the thing is, you can incorporate reasonable amounts of carbs, a couple 100 grams of carbs, as long as it's not from all ice cream, right? When you're coming from a fat adapted diet. So what I typically do is I'll either bounce into a cyclical ketogenic diet or a targeted ketogenic diet. So what this means is I do keto for a set amount of time. I've been doing keto for like 7 years, at least 6-7 months every year for those years. And I typically will do keto for a large duration of time and then throw in little bits of carbs here and there and then use them up before a workout. This is kind of in the style of a targeted ketogenic diet. So the main reason I do this is just to maintain that strong metabolic flexibility. You're not going to lose that metabolic flexibility. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about, oh shit, then I'll never be able to eat carbs again. No, you don't have to worry about that. You're actually going to be better at using those carbs when you're coming from a fat adapted state. It's just that you cannot overdo it. You can't do unbelievably large amounts of sugar and processed sugar, which you really shouldn't have any craving for in the first place when you're on a fat adapted diet. But the point is, don't go crazy, okay? Don't start doing Furious Pete, Matt Stoney eating challenges, okay? That's the point here. Because when you're on a carb metabolism, your body's used to metabolizing all that. And really, our body performs optimally somewhere in the middle when you have that metabolic flexibility. So what's going to happen is you can either do keto cycles or targeted keto every now and then. And what I do is every now and then I'll have a little bit of carb before a workout. So maybe like 2 times out of a month or 1 day out of a month, I'll think, hey, maybe I'll eat a bit of carbs today. Or maybe, I'm going out for sushi dinner. I'll have a couple pieces with rice. And the rest of it will just be meat, right? Meat and fish. And from there, consume maybe about anywhere from 10 grams of carbs to 200 grams of carbs, right? Maybe I'll have a bowl of pasta today. Maybe I'll have a bowl of rice and that's it. And then immediately try to use those carbs in a workout. So I have a video on targeted keto and the types of carb sources you should be consuming when you're reintroducing carbs. So basically you don't want to be consuming fructose or fruit or large amounts of fructose corn syrup, because this is going to not go into your muscles, it's going to go into your liver. And this may make you feel like shit, and it also won't allow you to use those carbs for fuel in a workout. So ideally, if I were to have a couple pieces of rice, sushi rice, right, and get somewhere between 10 grams of carbs to 200 grams of carbs on a cyclical kind of ketogenic diet or a targeted ketogenic diet, so incorporating carbs every once in a while, my body is still going to be very effective at burning both fat and carbs, and it won't be a huge shock to my system as long as I'm not getting it from processed garbage, okay? What I actually do most of the time is I have this dextrose powder here. Dextrose is very quick digesting carb, and it's very high glycemic, so that means it's very dense in sugar. And I really only use it on targeted keto days. So for me, I really only use that maybe once every 2 months, maybe. It's just a luxury, and I only use about 10 grams of it, 10 to 20 grams at most. But when I'm eating, a couple grains of rice, right, and it might add up to 50 grams total of carb, at the end of the day, it's going to be less glycemic than dextrose, right, because it's all purely dextrose. Either way, if you want to learn more about that and incorporating the right kind of carbs, watch my targeted keto video, which will be in the description. But the point is, you can start entering these keto cycles where you eat keto for a couple days out of the week, incorporate some higher carb days, and down the line, this will allow you to have a better flexibility. I mainly do any sort of refeeding, right? Because a refeed is basically throwing carbs back in, but for the sake of metabolic flexibility. I don't do it for, I need to refuel energy or something like that. Some people do it for leptin, but you can get more leptin sensitivity again by increasing your calorie intake overall and doing a calorie refeed. But that's a topic for another video. So with regards to the carb refeeds, do you need them? No. Do you need them to maintain metabolic flexibility? No, but the point is you can. You can throw some carbs in. After you've been doing a keto diet for a couple months, if you don't have a show day and you don't have a vacation that you're trying to reach a deadline by for being 6% body fat, you can eat carbs whenever you like. The thing is, you just won't want to because you're fat adapted. So from there, you don't need to refeed anything. It's literally just a choice I make on some days out of a random month when I'm leaner because I want to feel a little bit more intensity. Maybe I just want a better pump in the gym that day, because when you have both carbs and fat in your body as fuel, it's very effective for great workout, great pump. So overall, you don't need to do this. I personally rarely do it. But down the line, once I reach the body fat levels I like, it just gives you the freedom to have the carbs you want and then go back to a maintenance lifestyle of eating keto. And from there, you can still indulge in the sweet things in life. Not to say that keto won't allow you to do that. It's just that eating trash processed sugar has a place in moderation every now and then, as long as that moderation is low. So anyways, thank you for watching. If you want a free keto meal plan, free keto training plan, link in the description. Also my macro calculator, all my videos that are most popular in there as well. Leave me a comment if you want me to answer anything for you. And besides that, click the notification bell and subscribe. My name is Anthony Romano. Peace.